armored trucks and vehicles. Think of this. We had 700,000 rifles and guns. I actually say, what the hell did they need so many for? 700,000 rifles and guns. We had goggles, brand new, right out of the box. You know, they didn't fight at night because they never had goggles, right? Good fighters. They never had goggles. Now they have brand new goggles, all left by the Biden-Harris administration. Gave them billions and billions of dollars, just gave it to them, and now they sell that equipment because they don't need 700,000 rifles. They need 20,000, little difference. They don't need 70,000 vehicles. They need 500 vehicles. You have to ask yourself, who bought all that stuff in the first place? Who bought it all? How disgusted we're all, when we see, all of us are, when we see 3 days ago when we viewed their parade, our military equipment running down the middle of their main avenue, brand new, beautiful, armor-plated trucks, tanks, and vehicles, running down the middle, and they're all celebrating because we have stupid people running our government, and she'll be worse than Biden because he wasn't really a believer, but she's a radical left believer. She ruined San Francisco, she ruined California, and if she gets in, our country doesn't have a chance. This calamity is on Comrade Kamala Harris's shoulders. I think her name will be Comrade because I think that's the most accurate name. You know, I've been looking for a name. People are saying, sir, don't do it. You know all my names. They've all worked. They've all been very successful. And I really didn't find one with her. Sir, she's a woman. I said, so is Hillary Clinton. I called her Crooked Hillary. So nobody complained about that, right? Right? Mr. Governor, nobody complained about that. No, I called her Crooked Hillary. I call people names. I call crazy Nancy Pelosi crazy because she is. She's nuts. You know, Biden is really angry. You know, he's very angry. He was so angry the other night, he's like seething. You ever see a guy make a speech? It's such anger and so uncomfortable, just shouting, yeah. But he's terrible. He's just terrible. Should have never been there. We all know that. Should have never been there. What they've done to this country is incredible. But she bragged that she would be the last person in the room, and she was. She was the last person in the room with Biden when the two of them decided to pull the troops out of Afghanistan. And by the way, pulling them out was absolutely right. I was going to do it. I'm the one that got the soldiers down to 5,000 people. I was going to do it, but we were going to get out last. You don't pull the soldiers out first. You let the soldiers stay last. And the head of the Taliban respected me, Abdul. I had conversations with him. After my conversations, not one soldier in 18 months was killed, but you pull the soldiers out last. Milley and these guys, you know, we have great generals, but Milley and Mattis and these guys, they didn't know what the hell. I call them television generals. The television generals are no good, but the generals that defeated ISIS, for me, were great. We have a great military. But she had the final vote. She had the final say, and she was all for it. You take the soldiers out. If I took that young person right there, about 5 or 6 years old, beautiful young person, and if I said, I gave little details, like about 30 seconds worth of details. Would you take the military out first or last? Sir, I'd take the military out last. But they took it out first. And then we left hostages, we left all of the equipment, we left everything. And we left Bagram, and now China is occupying Bagram. Bagram being 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. Wouldn't it have been nice to have our big, fat, beautiful base? It was probably built there for that reason. But China 1 hour away, and now China is occupying that massive, big base. Some of the biggest runways in the world. They can hold heavier loads than any runways in the world. Under my leadership, we were getting out of Afghanistan, but we were going to get out with dignity, pride, and with strength. When I left office, we had not lost a single service member in the combat in Afghanistan in more than 18 months. And then we had that horrible day where we lost so many, and so many were so badly hurt, arms, legs gone, face just obliterated. We lost so many great people that day. Nobody talks about the people that were so badly injured. They never mention them. I always mention them. All over the world, our adversaries knew that America was not to be trifled with when I was your commander-in-chief. And you know, it's very interesting. If you look at Hungary, very strong country, very strong leader, Viktor Orban, he said the only thing that's going to save the whole world is Trump has to be president again. We had no problems. We had no problems. He said, we had no problems. I don't use the term, but he did. He said, China was afraid of him. Russia was afraid of him. They always said, oh, I was so friendly to Russia. I'm the one that stopped the Russian pipeline called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever, the biggest development they ever had to feed oil all over Europe, I stopped it. And then Biden comes in and he gives them everything. He gave them the pipeline. They built the pipeline, but I stopped it. Putin said, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to us. I said, I'm sorry, I have to do it. And he approves it right away. And then they say, Trump was not strong on Russia. I think they got it wrong. Putin actually said, if you weren't strong, I'd like to find out how bad would you be if you were strong, because you were brutal. But you know, I got along with him. It's good to get along with these countries. I got along with China. That wouldn't have happened. What's happening right now, they're planning an attack on Taiwan. There's no question about that. That wouldn't have happened. It wasn't going to happen. They knew that you weren't allowed to do that. Putin would have never gone into Ukraine. Israel would have never been attacked. It's a sad, sad situation. So many people are dead. So many people are gone. So many cities. You look at Ukraine, those cities are just wiped off the face of the earth. They're outside of Kiev and a couple of others. They're basically just flattened. Far more people dead than they let you know. It's like your numbers that were released fraudulently today. Far more people dead in that war than anybody would know. When those big buildings come tumbling down, hit with rockets, so ridiculous. There's nothing left. It's so ridiculous. But since the Afghanistan catastrophe, it's been open season on America and our allies. I really believe that the Afghan disaster, what happened, the stupidity and the way we pulled out and the bedlam and all of that, it would have been very smooth. We were going to get out with strength and dignity. But when Putin saw that, he said, wow, those people don't know what they're doing. They're overrated. And he went in, and the same thing happened with Iran. Iran was not going to play with us. And now Iran is a rich nation. They have $300 billion. They had no money. And in 3.5 years, they made $300 billion. $300 billion they have right now. They made it all in 3.5 years. They had none when I left. And we would have made a fair deal with them. They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. You can't have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, we want you to have great lives. But I do hear they're after me, but you know, that's the way it is. Look, I'm here for you, and I'm here even for the world. We want to stop world wars because the equipment is so devastating now. A world war is obliteration. We can't have a world war. Every dictator, tyrant, and terrorist on the planet knows that they can get away with murder under Kamala and Crooked Joe. Kidnappers are getting millions and millions of dollars, but now they're getting billions. They're getting billions. What did you get for the 4 people that we released? Sure, they got $6 billion. What is $6 billion? Does anyone know what that means? $6 billion. They got $6 billion. People get kidnapped and, you know, they ask for like, how about $1,000? How about 500? They got $6 billion from these idiots. And you know what happens? When that happens, a lot of people are going to get kidnapped because they say, we're dealing with stupid people. A lot of people. We had 59 people that were hostage. Some in North Korea. That's about as tough as it gets. We got people out without paying for anything. We never gave money. We didn't want to give money. If we gave money, all they do is they go around kidnapping everybody. These people give, not only do they give $6 billion, they got the Prince of Death out. He's the #1 arms merchant in the world. Russia got him as part of one of the deals. The #1 arms merchant in the world. We got a couple of people. But, you know, why were they there? And why did they do what they did? But they got some of the most criminal, the toughest, Meanest criminals anywhere in the world. On top of that, we paid them billions and billions of dollars. We're run by very stupid people. I'd like to use a different word. I'd like to use a much more sophisticated word, but there's no word I can think of. Incompetent. How about incompetent? As a result, peace in Europe has been shattered by the largest European land war since the fall of Nazi Germany. This is the largest war there's been, and this war is going to escalate and escalate. When, if, but when. I have to always say if, you know, because they cheat. I would say when if they didn't cheat, but they cheat. That's the one thing. They're great at cheating in elections. If we win, I'll get that thing settled before I take the office. I'll get it settled as president-elect. I'll get that war stopped. With Russia, yeah, we'll get that stopped. Ukraine and Russia, we're going to get it stopped, and quickly. It'll be done before I get to office. It would not have happened if I was president. It wasn't going to happen in the Middle East. The Jewish people have suffered the worst atrocities and deadliest attacks since the Holocaust. There's no question about that. The United States has been forced to abandon more embassies under Comrade Kamala than at any time in our history. We're running out. It's not like we're leaving. We're being run out of these embassies that cost us hundreds of millions of dollars to build. You got to see these embassies in the middle of nowhere in a country you've never even heard of. They spent $900 million to build an embassy. The whole thing is crazy. The world is on fire, and Kamala and Biden have marched us to the brink of World War III. That's what we're in. I think, General, you would probably agree. You're one of the experts, I would think, right? I don't even talk to you about that lately. It's so out of control, I don't even have to bother. I just say, look, take a look. But one of the great experts, and we're on the brink. That's why this November, Americans are going to tell Kamala Harris, that we've had enough. We can't take it anymore. You're doing a terrible job. Comrade Harris, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. You're no good. You're fired. Get him out of here. All you have to do is take a look at San Francisco. Look at the job she did. She had one policy. If you steal less than $1,000, basically $950 to be exact, I want to be accurate for purposes of reporters, the fake news media, they want accuracy. They don't have to be accurate, but we have to be accurate. But if you steal less than $950, they basically leave you alone.